blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry one artist at a time.
Welcome back to another episode of Moments with Myra. Today we are diving into a topic that every parent faces at some point, preparing your child for their first year of school. Joining me is the wonderful Nikki Mayo, an experienced educator and passionate advocate for early childhood success. Nikki is here to share practical tips, heartfelt wisdom, and ways to help both parents and children feel confident and excited about this big milestone. Whether your little one is starting kindergarten or pre-K, this conversation will give you the tools to start the school year off right. Let's jump in. Nikki, thank you so much for being here with me. Welcome to Moments with Myra.
Thank you. There's no place I'd rather be. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Can you start by sharing a little bit about your background and what inspired you to work with children in education?
Well, I graduated from the illustrious Winston-Salem State University at
Yeah.
homecoming in 1991, but my BA is in Spanish. So for a couple of years, I did substitute teaching with Spanish, long-term Spanish classes where the teacher was out, and I did translating for like the bus service and MCI, which is an old, I'm telling my age, old long distance carrier. And
Mhm.
so I did that before, but I started kind of thinking like I need to do something, a little bit more steady. And so I've always loved kids. And what happened was in 1996, I met my ex-husband who's from Michigan and moved to Michigan, got married and moved to Michigan. And when I was there, it was hard to get my foot in as a sub. So
Mhm.
what I did was I went back to school and got my certification in teaching at the University of Phoenix. And I also have a curriculum and instruction master. So I have a master's in education and a master's in curriculum and instruction. So not only can I write in curriculum, I can teach it too. So,
All right, girl. I like that, a one-stop shop.
right.
Now, from your experience, what makes the very first year of school such a unique and important milestone for both kids and the parents?
Well, separation anxiety. And parents would think, well, they've seen their brothers and sisters go out to school, so they should be used to it. But no, they're in a different place. They're in a classroom with other children their age. Um, and they don't know what to do. They kind of don't know what to do. Sometimes if they have shared an experience in preschool, which is always great, they already have that knowledge of coming in and sitting down and being somewhere away from their parents for a big chunk of their day. But a lot of children, they don't. A lot of parents either can't afford or they'd rather keep their child home until they have reached school age. And doing that, it can be really hard for them to come away. So we get a lot of crying and a lot of not wanting their parents to go and things like that. And so it's kind of like, well, you can see, teachers can see you didn't properly prepare your child for that. So that's why it's so important, because we've got to teach these children how to read. And every minute that we're taken away from doing something else is taken away from, having them, learn the things that they need to so they can read.
And you know what? You bring up a good point. I didn't even think about it from that perspective of every minute counts. I know
Mhm.
back in the day, look, we tell them both of our ages, but back in the day, um, I don't know if it was required, but I remember all of my friends and family and stuff. We went to preschool or, to the daycare, whatever, in the church and start
Mhm.
learning and stuff
Mhm.
from there. So I believe that you're right when you say that definitely better prepares you to be away from
Yes.
your parents, to interact with other people,
Yes.
put you a little bit ahead of the game.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what are some key social or emotional skills parents should focus on before school starts?
So if you can, if you know some other children who are, if you know some other children, parents know some other children who are their child's school age, getting them together. A lot of parents think, I'm sure that they think, I'm sorry, a lot of parents seem to think that, well, they got brothers and sisters. That doesn't matter that they have brothers and sisters, because a lot of times their brothers and sisters are older than them. So you need to make sure that you have children have that social part with children their age, because they're going through the same thing. Your child, just because they have a brother in middle school, they're not going through the same thing. Yes, they're in the same home, but they're not going through the same things as far as socially and emotional. Your middle schooler already knows that they have to go to school for a big chunk of their day. Your baby doesn't. And
Mhm.
so just because they see them going off, see their brother or sister going off and staying away for a long time, that's not connecting that one day they're going to have to do it.
Yes. So, how can parents help a shy or anxious child feel more comfortable about this big transition?
Well, I would say maybe in the springtime, if they have kindergarten roundup, definitely bring your child in for kindergarten roundup. And that's the way that they enroll your child. They talk to you, the teachers talk to you, the administration talks to you, lets you know what your child is going to expect, or what you should expect from your child, what the teachers are expecting from your child, because discipline is a big issue these days. A
Mhm.
lot of teachers are, talking amongst ourselves, and like, this discipline is really out of control. We want support. We're not going to do anything to your child that's going to jeopardize our jobs. Now, let's get that clear. We got to eat. So we got to eat and pay bills. So we're definitely going to do our job and stay in line with our job. But it's hard to do when you are pushing back, when you push back. So going into those kindergarten roundups and getting that information, and let's say that you missed it, I would get to know the administration and say, hey, my child is coming to your school in the fall, but I'm afraid that they're not going to really um, handle it well. Can
Mhm.
I come in one day and, tour your school, maybe in the afternoon, right before school gets out, so that you won't be disturbing, so I won't disturb too much, but just so my child can see the cafeteria, the library, the classroom, the hallway, different things like that to get them prepared. This is where you're going to be. Now, a lot of kids will fake you out. They'll be so excited. And then when they get to that first day, they're like, I had enough. Wait a minute. That first day they playing and they're doing all, they're excited. They get crayons and stuff like that. And then when the parents bring them the second day, they like, I ain't know we had to do this 2 days in a
Wait
row.
a minute. Now, you was talking about the kindergarten roundup.
Mhm.
Is that something that is automatically done for new kids that's entering into kindergarten, or is it something that you saw in Michigan? Because I was wondering if Forsyth County was on task with having that type of programming set up as well.
They do. They have kindergarten roundup in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, but it's definitely something that was put in place in Detroit, where I worked for many years, and it was just really important. I think though that it needs to be revamped,
Mhm.
because we're not getting. I think we're leaving out what the children should know before they come. And it's something as easy as tying your shoes.
Mhm.
We get most of our students, and I'm not bashing anyone, please, I'm not bashing anyone, but what I'm saying is, let's take my school, for example. I work in a charter school. Uniform is key. Uniform is non-negotiable, to the
Mhm.
point where we have someone who one of her jobs is to come around to every classroom in the elementary building, because we have three buildings.
Mhm.
um in the elementary building, going to every classroom and make sure that that child has on a uniform shirt, pants, belt, if it's a boy, tucked in, shoes, black shoes, not pandas, not Air Force Ones, that require for your child to tie them. So, funny story, the first week or two, I'm going to understand. I understand you are new to kindergarten, you new to, I'm going to help you a little bit, just a little bit. I'm going to help you. So, one of my babies, we were outside and he came and said, Miss Mayo, my shoe needs tying. And we would acquiesce the first week or so, but after that, you'll hear kindergarten teachers saying, "Baby, I don't tie shoes. Baby, I don't tie shoes. Tuck them in."
But I think that that's a good point. So
It is. So
he
what? So
go
what
ahead.
happened? What happened was he came to me and said, "Miss Mayo," he said, "I need my shoes tied." So we sat down. I was tying the shoes, and he said, um, I said, "You have to learn. You're going to have to learn how to tie your shoes." And he said, "My mommy said you were going to teach me how to tie my shoes." And I had, Myra, you know me. You know
Yeah.
I had to pinch my lips. I said, "No, baby." I said, "It's better that you learn at home so you can learn other stuff at school." He said, "Okay." But that's the mindset of some of the parents. What does the tying shoes have to do? Back in the day, we didn't tie our shoes. The teachers didn't tie our shoes. We
Yeah.
already knew how to do that. And
Yeah.
this is my thing. You've been putting clothes on your child for 5 years.
Mhm.
Now, tying shoes, and I know that's hand coordination. I get it, but let's do this. Let's put Velcro on.
Mhm.
And then let's
Work
teach
your
them
way
at
through it.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, take the shoes that you can let them wear on the weekend,
Mhm.
and help tie. But during the week, they need either Velcro or step in, because we don't have time for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with that. And along those lines, are there any fun activities or daily habits that family can start now to build readiness, like routines, reading, or playing games and that kind of thing to get them prepared?
Anything can, and for a nominal fee, I can put together a pre-kindergarten packet for your listeners or anybody who wants one. I can pull the work and stuff that they need to know. Children should know coming into kindergarten. They should know their ABCs and not rotely. And when I say rotely, I'm sorry. When I say rotely, I mean they should not. Um, it should be on memory, but
Mhm.
if I pull out a K, your child should not tell me that it's a 3.
Gotcha.
They should know. Now, if they can do sounds, that would be great. If they can do the sounds, that would be great. But if they can't, just as long as they know what that's okay. Just as long as they know that the number 3 looks like this,
Mhm.
and and 3 is associated with 3 objects. So that's very easy. So you can put number 5. You can show them the number 5, and then you can take out 3 cans of canned goods and say this, or 5 cans of canned goods, and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5. This is how 5 think. This is the quantity, or how much 5 is.
Mhm.
Give some these kids today, give them some money. Give them
Girl.
$5 bill. Put a $5 bill and then 5 ones. They'll learn real quick. They will learn very fast. You know, that five is five. Five ain't fat. You know, you tell them, "Mama, get it this good. This is how good you should get it. Get them to the point where I'm gonna give you $5, and then you start counting out one, one, two, three. Skip four and go to five. When they when they say, no, no, that's not five. Then you know you got them.
But
And
you have a valid point.
I mean, you have to notice, because this is the thing. When the students reach us in kindergarten, they are immediately assessed, tested. That's just from the kindergarten teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Then a couple of weeks later, we have to put them on a Chromebook or an iPad and test them. Children are being tested out the gate.
Gotcha.
So when they're tested, they're put into different programs. Now, parents who have older children probably already know this, but for parents who this is your first child, or you have, little babies that haven't reached it yet, they need to know this. They put whatever uh whatever their score is, it's in red, means they're low. Red is just like danger zone. That's why it's red. Yellow is, they know something, but it's still not enough. Green is they're on track, and blue, they can skip a lot of things. You want your child to at least be in yellow when they come to kindergarten. Why? Because they got to know how to read. And as we know, people need to kind of pay attention to how big special education loads are now. Remember when we were in school, and for anybody who was born in the 60s, in the
70s,
70s,
ma'am. Thank you very much.
the 60s and the 70s, you remember that special education classes were very small.
Yeah. Like you could almost count them on one hand sometimes.
You can almost count them on one hand, and not a full two.
Yeah.
However, now they have so many caseloads that it's ridiculous. And it just came to me, and I said, I wonder how many of these special education cases are children just not being prepared. Because you can test out of it. So if you can test out of it, what does that tell you? If you can test out of it.
Yeah.
I'm used to special education. I'm an old school teacher. I'm just an old school teacher, and I pride myself in that. And a lot of parents are thankful that I'm an old school teacher. But when we were in school and we had education, you couldn't test out. I don't remember them testing out of education.
Mm-mm.
They stayed in education because there was a significant issue. There was something significant, whether it came from birth or some kind of accident or something.
Mhm.
But if you can test out of education, that's telling me something else. That's telling me that your child wasn't properly prepared before they got before they got to kindergarten. And when they get into kindergarten, now it's okay. You don't know what this letter is. You don't know what this letter is. We got to go back and teach you that. That's separating your child from children who are prepared.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Now, everybody does not learn at the same pace. I
Mm.
get that. I do understand that, and I do get that. But I think a lot of cases that we see, there should have been better preparedness before. Or if you see something in your child that is is questionable, talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor. And if the doctor brings it up, if the doctor says your child is not on the level, or they're not at the place where they should be for children their age, then start asking questions. because it's not always about you. And I think a lot of parents, they go into that self blaming.
Yeah.
It's my fault. It's my fault. And as you know, I'm the parent of a special needs child.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so I'm not saying anything that I read in the book. I'm telling you my life story.
Mhm.
And I knew my child had physical and developmental issues. When we got over the physical issues, the developmental issues started to surface. And then that's when I was like, okay, what's going on? Baby, I took her to every kind of appointment or whatever. When I was working, when I wasn't working, she was on Medicaid. Thank God for Medicaid, because she had the best insurance.
Yeah.
She had the best insurance. And so I took her to everything, and to ask questions. She was at Detroit Children's Hospital. I asked everything, what's going on with my child? I put her in Head Start, and I kept her back when she was in first grade because I said, no, she's not ready to go on.
Mhm.
So I kept her back in first grade. But we get a lot of parents and we tell them, you know what? It's not going to hurt them you know, if they repeat so and so kindergarten. No, I don't want them to. I don't want them to be on, I want them to go on with their classmates. And that's a disservice to your child.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
so it seems like in that situation, parents have to, like you said, stop blaming themselves, but also hold themselves accountable
Accountable.
and
You
say
got to hold, yeah.
that
Yeah.
when you know that your child might be struggling. It's
Yes.
not a reflection on you or the child if you know
Exactly.
that you've been working with them in the way that they're supposed to be worked with.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just asking your opinion, do you think that with the kids today too, that it has something to do with younger parents maybe? You know?
It's it's a mixture of a lot of things, Myra. It is younger parents. It's also older guardians.
Mm-hmm.
It's also now I just got through talking to a friend of mine. He asked me, he said, um, you all have the pre-COVIDs and the COVID babies. And I said, about COVID. We don't, as far as some of my colleagues and I, we take COVID out of the picture. Unless you were an essential worker,
Mm-hmm.
everybody was at home.
Yeah.
Doing what? Chilling. I know I was getting fat.
Yes.
I know I was getting fat. I was married then. I'm surprised I didn't have a baby. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Everybody was at home, chilling. So no, we don't take COVID because I work with some of my educated friends who have um kindergartners, and their children are on track. Why? Because they work with them. If your child, just think about this. We're in the age of social media. I know a lot of people, you can make a lot of good money on social media. I get that. I'm trying to train my dog right now to have his own. But all kidding aside, you can. But that's like football or basketball or that. My child gonna grow up to be. Or you ask a child, we want to be when we grow up. I'm gonna grow up to be a basketball player. I ain't gonna need this. I ain't gonna. What happens when you don't make it? So same thing with social media. What happens if you don't get the views and stuff? What happens if it's something else
That's right.
besides social media that comes up? So if your child can learn a TikTok dance and the words to some of these inappropriate songs
Mm-hmm.
and the dances, your child can learn their ABCs and their numbers.
And
So
I think, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but when you said that, that reminded me of, I know that I've seen a couple of educators on Facebook or social media, how they take some of the music from the popular songs and turn on the songs like for your ABCs and different things like that. And so you have to be creative. But
Yep.
still, just because our educators are learning and realizing that you have to be more creative to keep the students' attention, parents
Mhm.
need to be creative too. Parents need to get them on a routine. Parents need to make sure during the summer, because I know during the summer, back in the day,
Mhm.
I read during the summer.
Yes.
Played and was a child and had a good time, but I also
Mhm.
read during the summer too, so that when I went back to school, and I did that on my own. It wasn't something that my parents made me do, but I
Mhm.
definitely feel like it helped me be better prepared when school started back, and especially as we were moving into the higher grades and having more paper
Right.
and stuff
I
to
I
do.
was a nerd. I used to have my parents drop me off at downtown library. I was a whole nerd.
Look.
That's how I learned, but that's how I learned Spanish though. I taught myself Spanish before I got to high school because I was going to Middle Springs Middle School, go Bulldogs. I was going to Middle Springs. We did not have Spanish. I think we had French, and I wasn't interested in French. I wanted Spanish.
Mhm.
And so I had to learn my own self. So I went down to the library. I thought I'm gonna check out some books, but they had tapes, and
Mm.
so I would check out the tapes, bring them home, get a book, go through it, listen, and I taught myself. So by the time I got to Miss Olson and Carver,
Yes,
I
Miss
think
Olson.
by the time I got to Senorita Olsen, I already knew half of the vocabulary that she was already teaching in ninth grade Spanish. And when I got to Winston-Salem State, I tested out of um, uh, early Spanish,
Mhm.
beginning Spanish, and went straight into intermediate. So that was my love of Spanish. So you can ignite those things with the kids, especially during this time where you can turn on YouTube and
Yeah.
there's Gracie's Corner, there's Jack Hartman. Jack Hartman has I played the ABC song for my students every day, and it's an ABC song, and he does the American Sign Language too. So my kids know um their ABCs. They're learning their ABCs and the sounds, but it's a sign language too. One of my babies, I ask him, I'll say, Ronnie, what's E? And he'll say E. He'll put up the sign language and write that. So those are things. So if we're doing it in the classroom, you could do it at the house.
Yeah.
You could
That's
do it at the house. Yeah.
use.
Don't and don't let me say this, and I'm not saying it because I'm an educator, because people say, well, you chose that job. Yes, I did. I chose the job, not to struggle.
Mhm.
Please stop blaming teachers for
Yeah.
everything. It's a joint relationship and a joint support system.
Yes. Teamwork makes the dream work.
It makes the dream work. But let me extend this to educators too. Build a relationship with your parents.
Yes. I think that is so important.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head when you said that, because I think that by building relationships, then you're able to work more as a team. And I know sometimes I hear, other parents might say, well, I don't think that, and I'll just use you as an example, that Miss
Mhm.
Mayo likes me or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
You hear different things like that. And I'm thinking, well, why would the teacher not like you? Like, your child just started. That don't make sense. So
Exactly.
you
Now,
to get out your own way.
no, I'm not gonna like you if you coming in cussing me out. Now,
Oh,
yeah. Now we gonna have issues because I'm a person. I'm human first. I'm human first. And I'm a teacher like 3 or 4 down the line. Hey, I'm a couple of things first. And a Scorpio.
oh, so I know.
So hey.
So
but I do during open house, I do try to build that relationship and let the parents know. I've been doing this for a long time and I love kids. I'm doing this real because I love kids. I love kids. I want the best for them. I want the best for your baby. So if I'm telling you that your child is doing something inappropriate or they're acting up, I'm not just coming for your child. I'm telling you the truth. And I need you to help me, support me, back me, so that we can get that corrected. Because I'll tell my students all the time, you want me to call your mom? No, no. Okay, so because and I've had parents tell their children have gone on and gone home. It hasn't happened a lot, but it has happened in my career. Go home and say one thing that I said. And I said, okay, let's get together. Let's talk about it. In front of your child.
Mm-hmm.
That'll squash all of that.
Yeah.
That'll squash all of that.
Accountability.
Accountability, because they'll say, why would Miss Mayo lie on you? Right. Why would I lie and
Yeah.
get myself in trouble?
It's the reason.
Yeah. You have a reason, you know what I'm saying? Why would I lie? And I think a lot of parents that say, well, my son's teacher, my daughter's teacher don't like them. I don't think it's that they don't like them. They don't like the behavior that they're seeing. Nobody, I don't know anybody just comes up, especially a teacher, like, I don't like that child. For no reason, because it's our job to teach every child. So you saying you don't like that child, that's gonna come in the way of you doing what you need to do to educate them. So I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe though that they're seeing some things that's hindering their child, whether it's their attitude towards the teacher or the classmate or the work. A lot of the students don't want to do the work. I don't care how fun it is. They don't want to do the work. They're like, shh, they don't want to do the work. And then there are some children, this happened about a month ago. One of my students, her parents have greatly prepared her, greatly. And one morning, her mom dojoed me. And if anybody wants to know what dojo is a platform that schools use for parents to safely communicate with teachers and vice versa. So she sent me a dojo text, and it said, "Hey," she said, "Andrea didn't want to come to school today because she said she's bored." And my heart sank because I knew that she was getting bored. I could look at her. But here's the thing. I have 19 students, and she was only the one out of those 19 that was getting bored. So what mom and I did was I went on Teachers Pay Teachers, which anybody can go on. You don't have to be a teacher. But I went on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I pulled all first grade work for her.
Okay.
So that and we, and I carve out time to read with her. Like, I'll have the students doing something else, maybe in centers, and I'll have a separate center for her, and we'll sit down and we'll read. And she gets so I'm seeing that excitement with her, just excited. She brings a book every day. She's our little class. I call her our class librarian, and she brings a book for us to read, and the kids love it. You know what I'm saying? And we ask questions and stuff. So, it could be a couple of things. So as a parent, you need to ask the teacher, well, do you think they're bored? What can we do? What partner with me so that I can do for my child so that we don't get bored, and have the teacher say, you know what, that might be it. So let me introduce them to this and let me introduce them to that. And that would cut out some of the playing and stuff. Yeah, it'll cut off a lot of the playing and paying attention and stuff.
Now, are there any specific supplies or preparations that often get overlooked but make a big difference as they're preparing for school?
I would say once your child gets to be about 4, 3.5 to 4, you want to start introducing those. I know my best friend, her son, I have two. One of my best friends, her son was just an avid reader at an early age, and my other best friend, her godchild, she's been teaching her already. She started teaching her already. And she's 2. So
Okay.
the earlier you put it in front of them, it's great. And like I said, TV, Gracie's Corner, um, Jack Hartman are the 2 that's just popping out on my head. Go Noodle is another one. There are these 3 brothers that they're not. I don't think that they're related brothers. But when I say brothers, they're 3 brothers, and they put together like what is an adjective, what is a noun, what is thing. But they also have things for early childhood. They just run the gamut. So
Okay.
if you go on YouTube, you can and read aloud books. If you don't have the time to read with your child, put a read aloud book on so that they can read. Before they go to kindergarten, I would suggest having, and you can get anything on paper. There's no excuse now
Mm,
because we have Amazon and we have YouTube. We have all of this stuff at our earliest, at our disposal. So you need early, early childhood writing paper. You need that. They're the ones with the big lines. They have the
okay.
3 lines. You need that. You need pencils. You need, of course, a pencil sharpener. You can get that. You need crayons, markers. I would say no. Because when they get to kindergarten, we're not too big on that. But colored pencils. And in that way, you can do things like this. Print off something that has the whole ABC on it, ABCs. From and make sure they have lowercase and uppercase. Um, Tell them to take out a red color pencil and circle once they start getting their letters good and memorized, circle the letter B with the red pencil. Because see, we have to teach them following directions. Now
Mm,
it may seem simple to you, but following directions is getting in line, walking down the hallway, knowing when to talk, knowing when not to talk. So when you start with simple things with following directions that mirror school,
mm-hmm.
then that's putting them on a good track. That's putting them on a good track. I'm not talking about go wash the dishes. I'm not talking about put your clothes up. I'm not talking about because I know what people are thinking. People are like, well, they already know how to follow directions. No, ma'am, no, sir. That's not what I'm saying. Yes, I'm sure that they do, but I'm saying things like, you know, pick up that trash when you're out in the community, pick up that trash, or, just simple things of follow. Come stand on this side, stand on the right side, walk on the right side, go to the left. So they'll know their right and their left, just simple things like that. Um, Colors, knowing their colors. The stop sign is red, right? What color is it? You at a stop sign. What color is the stop sign? Red. Okay. Once they start learning their letters, what are those letters? S, T, O, P. Okay, very good. Let's keep going. At the grocery store, you put 2 bottles of pop or soda in your basket. How many bottles of drink do we have? One, two, two. Very good. How many apples did we have in the bag? One, two, three, four, five. That's simple. Simple things preparing. Because guess what? Other people do.
Look, that's what I
Yeah.
was saying about that.
Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Other
I
people
just
do.
feel like that we can never be too prepared.
Mm-mm.
We can
You can't.
never ever be too prepared,
Mm-mm.
especially people of color. We can
Mhm.
never ever. I
Mm-mm.
feel like if I can't say nothing else during this time together with you, we can never ever be too prepared.
You can't. You
Never.
can't. And if you want to, what we used to do back in the day, if you want to do this, you also, if you don't want to, join an account or whatever, because everything a teachers pay teacher is not free. I go to the free and be in less than $5, but everything is not free there. You can go to Walmart or you can go to Amazon and get a workbook for preschool and start going through that and have that big 300-page workbook and
Mhm.
go through a letter a week. Start like when they turn 4. In the whole year, go through a letter a week, just one letter. Stretch it out. One letter, one number. Another thing I also want to say that parents probably don't know is we do not teach the alphabet in alphabetical order.
Mm.
A lot of people don't think that. So if you do get a big book like that and it starts with A, go to like O,
Mix it up some.
mix it up. Go to O, go to N. And then once they learn those, you have your first word on. Go to M, go to M. You already got O, put M again. You already know what M is. You got O, you put another M. What does that say? We got mom. You know what I'm saying? Go to I, learn I, go to S. You got is. So don't start at A because that's what we call rote. That's just knowing it off the head. Yeah, you do want to know that, but you also want to know when we accept them, A is not first. It's
Yeah.
something like Q or something like that. We
Mhm.
don't. We want them to know it outside of the order so that they'll know, so they can recognize it.
That's such good information because I never realized that was the case. But now thinking back 100 years ago, when I was in kindergarten and stuff, and I remember my teacher, Miss Brown. I absolutely love Miss Brown. She was at Sherwood Park,
Uh-huh.
Sherwood Forest Elementary. Um, we used to have these blow up dolls that they would pass around to the different kindergarten classes with the different letters, like you said, and we didn't learn the letters in order. And
Mhm.
each little doll had a song that go to it. And
Oh,
so here I am at the age of 55, and I still know my song for the letter M for Myra. You know what I mean? So that tells you how changing it up like that sticks with you. Because at 55, I can still sing, Mr. M with the
mhm.
munchy mouth. My mouth goes munch, munch, munch. I munch at lunch. Munch. you know,
Those th-
you
they
stick.
stick with you. They
Yeah.
stick with you. And this is another thing. Going back to writing, and on Amazon, you get this on Amazon. We know that children, when they start writing, they're going to a lot of times start like this.
Mhm.
So there are little devices on Amazon where you stick the pencil in and it has two grips on the side. And those things that you put the pencil in and they put these fingers, because these are how we write,
Mhm.
right? They put those fingers in that device, and that's how they're taught how to hold the pencil so
Okay.
that they can write. Yeah. Also, teach them the letters in their name.
Yes.
Teach them the letters in
Yeah.
their name so they can spell their name and write their name. I had a lot of babies that came, they didn't know how to write their name.
Now, this is a little bit beyond kindergarten, but I just wanted to ask this question for me.
Mhm.
Are educators teaching cursive?
No,
And so,
that's
what's
so.
the meaning behind not doing that anymore? Do you have any idea? And I know since you teach kindergarten, we didn't really deal with cursive writing that early, but
Right,
I'm
right.
just curious about that.
I think it depends on the. So let me backtrack. When I said no, I'm saying from what my experience in the schools that I've taught at, we did not.
Okay.
There could be some in different states and different uh districts that do,
Okay.
teach it. But like anything nowadays, it's the onslaught of social media and technology.
Gotcha.
It's technology. Most when we text, we don't text in cursive.
True.
We don't text in cursive.
We're using slang and everything, but so you're right. So that makes
Mhm.
sense. But I was just curious about that because I had overheard some other parents talking about, well, they don't even know how to sign their name. And I was like, are they not learning cursive? Like, what is
Mhm.
that about?
And then too, the way cursive is, it can be a little hard to recognize.
Okay.
So if you're doing cursive, let me see if I can see. If you're doing cursive, I don't know what this, and then you're teaching just regular standard
Mm-hmm.
alphabets. Can you
Yeah.
see that? Is it
Mm-hmm.
backwards?
I can see it.
Okay. So you see that N don't look nothing like that. This cursive N look nothing like this.
Yeah.
That E looks nothing like this. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? And so when they read, they're not reading in cursive.
gotcha.
So that I think, but I believe cursive should be taught because right, you don't know how to sign your name.
Yeah.
You're not signing your name.
But maybe that is something that parents can work on too at home.
Mhm.
Be something in
Yeah,
addition to.
yeah, right. Yeah, right on. Have them too. These kids are smart.
So smart.
They're smart. My students have not been able to get to an iPad yet because my cart, there's some issues going on with my cart, and we're trying to work those out. So they don't have the iPads. I'm kind of glad because I had to borrow some iPads from my team member to do their online assessment.
Hmm.
And when they saw those iPads, they couldn't even hardly do their work. And
Yeah.
I told them, there's no use in you looking at this iPad.
Don't get used to it.
I said, because you're only doing a test on it and we're giving them right back. Because when I got to the older grades and they were on Chromebooks and stuff, I would have to walk around. They would be on YouTube. They're supposed to be on iReady and other learning programs and Study Island. They on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Instagram and Facebook. And I'm like, how are you on Facebook? You on it? But they get on it. People think that they can't, they can. These kids can do anything. So that's why I say it's no excuse for most of these kids.
Yeah.
This is no excuse. So yeah, I would say, definitely going back, thinking, start. And another thing, if you start early with your child, then you can catch if something is amiss,
Hmm.
and you can get it nipped in the bud, or you can face it, and then you can tell the teacher. I mean, you tell the teacher. I've had kids dropped off at me, parents, and say nothing. I had, by the end of the day, I was like, okay, well, you could have said something.
Hmm.
Nothing. I had to figure it out. And what your child can and cannot do. You know that your child is not on that level first. But we don't want to turn away we can't turn away any kids. We
Yeah.
can't. But at least give me a heads up
But we still need to work as a team.
as a team. Give me a heads
Nobody's
up.
passing judgment or whatever
Right.
that would allow the educator to be able to better meet the needs of your
Right.
child and be prepared,
Right.
to meet the needs. Now, before we wrap up,
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
you have some other stuff that you're doing. So tell me about Kindergarten Chronicles, because I want to bring you back on so that we can talk about Kindergarten Chronicles and also to the cartoon.
Yes, yes, I am. I have a cartoon out. And I am working on more Chronicles. The cartoon was kind of to stick my foot in the water and see how it would go.
Okay.
And it was popular, but wasn't as popular as I wanted to be. So I'm going back to the drawing board, which we have to do a lot. So I'm going back to the drawing board with that. And then with Kindergarten Chronicles, I tell these funny stories on Facebook. These kids are hilarious. Like the most recent one was I have one of my babies, Ronnie. That's not his real name, but he's so tiny and just cute as he can be. But he is hellfire. He's very small for his age, and you can tell that there's some delayment going on. He's almost like a 2-year-old who hasn't cleared the terrible tubes.
Gotcha.
He's an angel in the morning, but after lunch, I don't know what is in the food that they say, but that brother be everywhere. So this particular day, I was doing, we do centers or we do small groups with students, and sometimes we put like a game or something or an activity for them to do that has to do with whatever we were talking about. So if we were doing the letter D, it would be maybe a sheet that has a dog on it, and they got to color all of the pictures that start with D, so that they can say the picture dog. Yes, that begins with D, and they can color it. So I was working with some children at my table. Then I had like 2 other tables, and everybody was there. It was nice and calm. Everybody was just quiet, and all of a sudden, the kids was like, I kept hearing, Miss Mayo, look at Ronnie. Miss Mayo, look at Ronnie. And I look up, and this brother is doing the backstroke on the floor all around my class. He just pushing himself along. I told the kids, I said, y'all, that's the Lord's battle. Keep going. That ain't my battle. That's the Lord's battle. Keep moving.
Well, I look forward to you being back on with me again so that we can discuss that any further. Would you give the listeners your information so that they can find out more about the Kindergarten Chronicles and also about your comics and anything else that you're going to be doing in the future?
Sure. They can reach me at my personal email. It's N as in Nancy, I as in ice cream, K like kite, IE, M as in mayonnaise, A as in apple, Y as in yellow, the number 6 and the number 8 at gmail.com.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being here with me.
I can't wait to come back.
And it'll be soon, believe me.
Amen.
This has been an amazing conversation. A huge thank you to Nikki Mayo for sharing such practical advice and heartfelt wisdom about preparing our little ones for their very first year of school. Remember, this milestone isn't just about sharpening pencils and new backpacks. It's about confidence, connection, and celebrating growth. If today's episode encouraged you, be sure to share it with another parent or caregiver who might need a little extra support. Until next time, I'm Myra, and this has been Moments with Myra, where we grow, learn, and prepare for life's next big steps. Have a great evening.
Underestimate my love. I'm a lot tougher in my look. It's crazy what they say about me. They say I'm strange and wild, but I let you read me like an open book. But only you. I might be tender, I might be soft, and I might surprise you. gotta promise, if you're honest, you're never gonna go a day without my love. Baby, if you want it, if you gotta have it. Baby, if you need it, if unless you love me, you gotta promise you'll only love and squeeze me. Baby, let me love you like you're mine. Hey, you're never gonna have to guess how I feel, yes honey, I'll always keep it real. Gonna tell you how I love you every day. Always gonna chase all the blues away. Baby, you're my red lips and my work shirt. Come on, give me a kiss, I don't gotta hurt. Never gonna lie.